Hello everyone, this is Shamsi and welcome to the post 0.23 update Warp Cell Factory Guide for Dual Universe. There are a lot of things that I want to talk about with regards to the channel and news and plans and so on that I want to share with you all, but there's already a lot to talk about with the content of this video, so I'm going to leave all of that for a future video. Do keep your eyes open on that. If you do find this video helpful and want to see every now and again when I post new content, do please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you really find it helpful and want to watch everything that I put out, then do also consider clicking the bell icon next to the subscription button to be notified whenever I put content out. Now, to the subject matter of the guide. You'll notice that it's taken me a very long time to get back into the industry of the game. This is in fact the first industry guide that I've made since the 0.23 update went live. That's because I felt a little bit of a burnout and lack of motivation to get into the industry of the game again after that update, and so I needed to take a break away from that aspect of the game. If you ever feel that need yourselves, do feel free always to take a break from the game. Sometimes it's very healthy just to step back for a little bit and then come back at it from a fresh perspective. And that's what I've done here. I'm back to making industry guides. I'm loving it, so let's get straight into it. What's changed since I've been away? The first thing is this right here. What is an uncommon refiner M? Industry units now have tiers, and those tiers determine the level of schematics that can be fed into that item. What do I mean by that? There's a lot that I can make in my nano pack. So for instance, I can make this wing right here and all of the parts that feed into it. But if I want to make a wing M or anything that I can't make in a nano pack, so for which I have to use an industry unit, I then need to start buying the schematics for that item off the market. Now these are bot orders, they'll never run out, and you can just go to any market and buy it. The price of the item goes through a formula. It's a multiplicative based on its tier. So a tier 5 schematic is going to be costing a lot, but a tier 1 or tier 2 schematic doesn't cost all that much. So if I say load a warp beacon schematic here, 841 million here. If I were to load a warp cell schematic here, given that it's a tier 3 item, it's not very expensive at all, 1.593 million. We'll talk about schematics again in a little bit, but just to confirm again, the game has items separated into 5 tiers. Basic, uncommon, advanced, rare, and exotic, corresponding to tiers 1 through to 5. And in order to make an item, you need an industry level at least 1 level below that item. So to make silver pure, I need at least a tier 2 refiner, uncommon, refiner M, which I have here. And the exception to that, for whatever reason right now, is functional parts. So if I were to load a mobile panel M here, advanced mobile panel M, this is a tier 3 unit, but in order to make it, I only need a tier 1 metalwork industry, whereas I would think that I would need an uncommon metalwork industry M, a tier 2, but for whatever reason, probably a bug. I don't know if it's a bug, if it's intended, or if it'll stay, but functional parts just needed a basic tier 1 industry unit for now. The other thing to bear in mind, I've just talked about with schematics, is they're expensive. This facility right here cost me something like 70 million quanta to buy a while ago. I'm going to be selling it. I'm making a nice building to sell it because I don't want to make warp cells anymore. So my friend Astron in the Rubik's Cube just over there, he makes roughly 1,000 warp cells a day, and they're selling like hotcakes because he's not getting greedy with the price, and he can't produce enough of them to meet demand from his repeat customers or with the market or whatever. And the thinking behind industry now for me is this: it's not that we want to go for self-sufficiency, because we can't. It's that we want to create passive income over time. Now, everything I'm about to say is my opinion. You are perfectly welcome to disagree with me anytime you want. I do read each and every comment down in the videos that I put out. I try to respond to as many of them as I can. So I'm about to share my opinion. If you disagree with that, or if you want to add to that or just discuss it, do feel free to post a comment and I will read it and answer it if I can. So my opinion is what we're buying with industry is passive income over time. When this update first came out, I went to mine for 4 days straight and I got about 150 million quanta out of the super nodes that I had reserved on Alioth. So I mined out everything that I had, I sold it to bots, and I got liquid quanta. And that was it. I wasn't generating quanta anymore with it. What we can do in a facility like this is invest, say, 65, 70 million quanta to get warp cell production off the ground. And if we can then have talents to produce warp cells cheaply enough, even if we sell it at the lower end, like 10,000 per warp cell, we can still make profit. Now, a lot of the focus of this game is about interdependency and community. And to a player like me that's always been big on self-sufficiency and solo play and self-reliance, it is a bit strange now having to think about relying on other people. But let's take my friend Astron over there. He doesn't have talents for refining silver, but I do. I can make silver at level 5 and in terms of efficiency and productivity. So what I did is I went and started his industry items for him. People sell those kind of application bonuses for money. So I'm not saying I'm going to come to your factory and boost your silver production or whatever. But if you go to the auction Discord for Dual Universe, if you look on the forum, if you look within your orgs maybe, or if you just ask around the Dual Universe Discords, general chat or whatever, you're going to be able to find people with, level 5 efficiencies and productivity talents for tier 1 ore, for tier 2 ore, some for tier 3 ore. And even though every now and again you're going to get, unknown server errors here or there, it's not all that expensive to have someone come and start your industry machines for you. In order to open an industry machine, you notice I can't open it. You do need some talents in proficiency. So in order to open a tier 2 chemical industry, I need at least level 2 proficiency now under the industry tab. These are new talents. So if I wanted to open, say, this tier 2 chemical industry, I'd need that talent. I don't have any talents of that nature on this character. But, it doesn't cost all that many talent points to be able to interact with and open your industry unit, so you can load your own schematics into it. And, if someone is reputable and trustworthy and isn't going to come in and steal your schematics or whatever, then you can pay them if they have reviews or whatever on the Discord for the trade of this game, which I'll put a link in the description to of this video. Then you can pay them to come and set up your industry for you. And so you're able to compete with, upfront cost with orgs that have, dedicated groups of industrialists. All you need to do is pay one of those industrialists to come and start your industry for you. There's also other talents for placing industry, which makes them produce things quicker, which are now relevant. I have decided for my setup here, and the blueprints for these are available again. I'll set up a dispenser for them so you don't have to come and trade me whenever you want one. But I've decided to go with the same proportions that I went with last time. On my industrialists, I have a lot of talents for making things craft faster. Bear in mind, they don't always show on the tooltip, but they are applied. And so I've decided just to build the same factory again and make more warp cells rather than, use fewer items. How many warp cells you make and how quickly those are made at each step of the production depends on your talents. And so I can't predict that in the flowchart for this or in this guide, but I've decided to go with 10 warp cell facilities again at the end. This is the same layout as my original upgraded facility, and if I wanted to, say, do what Astron is doing and make 1,000 of these a day, I would simply scale this up in a modular manner as I needed to. So it's up to you how heavy you want to go into warp cells. You could very easily half this step here, and that would cut out the need for these two tier 2 production units here. That'll save you a lot of money, and most of the expense here is in this stage, in the advanced antimatter cores and or quantum cores and antimatter units or whatever. So it's up to you, but I've decided to go with this layout with the original pattern that I had. So let's talk through it. You're gonna want 8 refiners making all 4 tier 1 and all 4 tier 2 ores into pures, and you also want sulfur, although sulfur is optional because acanthite does create sulfur as a byproduct, but I still have sulfur, acanthite and petalite being refined as well. Now this transfer unit array is entirely optional. Most of these are here to pull byproducts out. So for instance, if I make sodium pure, they'll have byproducts. The byproducts are pure carbon and pure hydrogen. If I were to quickly load a schematic, oh, it's already loaded carbon right here. You'll see that the transfer unit has 7 available links feeding into it and 1 going out. So what I would do is go through the entire production process, and every time there's carbon as a byproduct, I would link it into this transfer unit and then push it all out into the carbon box, so the refiner that's purifying coal into carbon for me. Similarly with hydrogen and oxygen, I would pull them out of wherever they're being put into and feed them all through one transfer unit into their own individual box. So when a glass furnace or a plastic producer needs a gas, it has its dedicated gas box that feeds directly into it. Now, transfer units aren't that expensive. You're going to need them for anything, for a lot of things anyway. If you go into industry, yeah, they're not that expensive. So I've decided to go with automating the management of this a little bit more, so I don't need to keep as close an eye on it day to day and just leave it running with ore in the inputs. Now remember, these 2 boxes at the bottom represent tier 1 and then tier 2 and 3, or they're here only as a representation. All of this is the only bit of my personal industry that I have set up right now is my basic refining and alloys and plastic and fuel and so on. So this is the sort of setup you might want to have, a base production facility for your ores and for your alloys and plastics and glass or whatever you want. If I was to make warp cells, I would simply connect this facility to my main production line, and as I needed more production, I would add to it. But suppose you want a self-contained unit, then you simply might need to expand the storage for ore to leave it running for a few days at a time. Once you have tier 1 set up, you want glass, advanced glass and Agli glass, polycarbonate plastic, polycalcite plastic and polysulfide plastic, alpha alloy, calcium reinforced copper and coag alloy. And in the boxes where the coag alloy, the polysulfide plastic and the Agli glass are put into, you want to connect them all to a single transfer unit to pull catalyst 3 out of those boxes and feed them into a relay box, which then feeds back into the 3 industry units that are making your tier 3 glass, plastic and alloy. The reason being, they produce and consume a catalyst 3, so with the help of a transfer unit they can become self-sustaining. Then in the next tier of production, you have 3 basic electronics industries and 3 basic glass furnaces. The first, electronics industries, makes basic components that feed into the same box where you make capsules. We'll come back to that in a moment, but capsules and components both go into the same box, so the product of this item and these 5 items here. And then you make basic connectors and uncommon connectors to their own boxes. And then with 2 glass furnaces you make basic LEDs, and with a 3rd glass furnace you make uncommon LEDs. And then it starts to get a bit pricey here for schematics, but you want 1 basic and 1 uncommon antimatter capsule. They only need tier 1 glass furnaces. And then you have 3 glass furnaces that are uncommon, making advanced antimatter capsules into this box here, and you also have your components feeding into the same box. And a similar setup next to it, we have 2 tier 1 3D printers and 3 tier 2 3D printers, and these make our quantum cores. So 1 basic quantum core, 1 uncommon quantum core, and 3 advanced quantum cores being produced here at this step into this box. And then you do some transfer tool shenanigans. You create an extra box here and you pull all 3 plastics into 1 box and all 3 alloys into another box. What do I mean by that? I mean you get 3 transfer units, 1 to pull alpha, 1 to pull calcium reinforced copper, and 1 to pull coag alloy, all into 1 box, and then 1 to pull polysulfide plastic, 1 to pull polycalcite plastic, and 1 to pull polycarbonate plastic, all into 1 box. And then you feed those into the relevant 10 tier 2 electronics industry battery that makes your advanced antimatter cores. And on the other side, so the alloys are the ones you need to make your antimatter cores, and on the other side you need your combined plastics to make your advanced quantum alignment units. You need 10 of each of those for this setup. Your quantum alignment unit also needs another transfer tool shenanigan where you basically pull LEDs out of the basic LED box here into another box that can then feed 10 industry machines. That's because these 3D printers also need basic and uncommon LEDs. And so given that a container can only connect to 10 items maximum, you can't connect them to these 10 items and the 3D printers that they also need to be connected to. So you need to use a transfer unit to pull them out into another container. I don't think I've put a representation of that container here. And yeah, you would connect that box into the industry units that you make your quantum alignment units with. So the combined plastics, then your extra LED box, and your quantum cores that are being produced all feed into these 10 industry units here to make advanced quantum alignment units. And then over here you have your combined alloy box, and then this box here that had your capsules and your components going into it. You don't need any transfer tools here because this only connects to these 10 units here. And with your combined alloys and your components and capsules, they make your advanced antimatter cores. And then both of these boxes feed into these 10 warp cell producing glass furnaces here. Again, they need to be uncommon. And then that feeds warp cells into your output box. So I think the only thing I kind of skipped over is what goes into these. So into these 5, this has glass and basic connectors. This has glass, advanced glass, and basic connectors. And these 3 all have a glass, advanced glass, agri glass, basic connector, and uncommon connectors being made here. And then these 5, this one here needs polycarbonate plastic and basic LEDs. This one needs polycarbonate plastic, polycalcite plastic, and basic LEDs. And these 3 all need polycarbonate, polycalcite, and polysulfide plastic, basic and uncommon LEDs. And your LEDs are being made here, and obviously your plastic is being made down below here. So that's it. I hope that you get your warp cell production back up and running. Warp cells are always going to be used, so there's pretty much always going to be a supply for them, especially now where people like myself have chosen not to spend, 60, 65, 70 million quanta to get our own production up and running. Although I suppose I could just keep a hold of this, but no, I need that quanta to build the industry I do actually want to build, which is going to be ship parts. But it's important to bear in mind then that the purpose of having industry now is to specialize into an area in which you're able to provide yourself with passive income, so that basically you can trade your efforts in mining in order to continuously make money over time. It's going to take you quite some time to earn back your initial investment, but you are able to continuously produce money every single day, even if you're buying ore to feed into your industry units, if you pay someone to come and apply their talents to your industry for you, or if you have those industry talents yourself, you're able to pull quite a good amount of profit out of items that you make, and be able to compete with the largest organizations by paying people with talents to come and apply those talents to your units for you. So here we go. I'm back to making industry guides. I hope you guys like them. Do let me know if you do like them, if you want to see more of them. I'm a bit conflicted as to the kind of content that I should produce on this channel. I keep trying to read some kind of pattern or reason or rhyme behind what videos do well, what videos don't do well, and I get completely lost every time. So I really don't have a metric of what you all want to see. So if you do have an opinion, a strong opinion on what you want me to make, or what you don't want me to make, then do let me know. That is all extremely helpful information. Well, I hope you all have liked this video. Thank you all for watching. Until the next time, that's all from me, and bye for now.